Hello, beautiful soul. How are you doing? I have to admit, my heart has been heavy this week, seeing that yet another Black man in America has been killed for no reason. And it breaks my heart because being here in France, a lot of people have asked me things like, did you ever experience racism in America? Like, from the moment that Obama was elected, people would say, oh, things must be so much better for you now, meaning person of color. And I had to really break it down to them that no, from the moment that Obama was elected, the racism just got louder. I'm not saying that racism has increased, though maybe it has, but the volume was turned up. So I, as a woman of color with a mother who's an immigrant, I grew up with all kinds of racism from white people and from Black people, especially when I experienced people who never had immigrants around them. So with my mom, with her funny accent and all of that, it was like I got teased, I got picked on, and the level of racism that I experienced was probably on a low level. And then over time, especially once Barack Obama became our president, I just heard it get louder. People, racists just felt more at ease speaking up on TV, on the internet, anywhere. And so it's been really hard for me because on the one hand, I see that we're in the midst of this awakening. And I've known this for years. I know many of my audience, people in my audience have known this for years. There's a global awakening happening, like the consciousness level is being raised. And yet we're hit with these things of this intense racism and this oppression. And then we're also seeing that with the coronavirus and the pandemic, that has created a whole level of fear and just craziness with conspiracies and all sorts of things and control. And so it's been hard for me. I've been very heavy-hearted because as I witness this blossoming of consciousness, I'm seeing the powers that be in their fear, in their hatred, in their anger, in their ignorance. I'm seeing them lash out, and it breaks my heart. But I just received a message from my friend, my mentor, the beautiful Sister SisterJenna from the Brahma Kumaris. And she reminded me that what we all need to do is maintain our inner stillness. Now, I see that there are people who cannot take it anymore and they are taking their activism to the streets. I pray that people can do this safely. But I know how it feels to be so enraged that you just have to speak out or do something. And yet, our spiritual elders would tell us we need to maintain this sense of peace. And it's not a matter of passivity. It's not a matter of looking the other way. This is a matter of maintaining a high vibration within us, tuning into the divine purity that is within each of us, to keep it going for ourselves and to stimulate other people around us. And that's hard for me because I know not a lot of people know this about me, but when I get upset or I'm into my activism mode, I want to scream and shout and point out everyone who's doing wrong. And I get into that righteous anger thing. And I also know that that's very destructive for me. It ends up creating all sorts of havoc in body and mind. And so I've been returning to my meditation practice and returning to the research around what we can do when we feel hopeless and when we feel helpless. Because that's what a lot of us are feeling right now. If we can't trust law enforcement, if we can't trust the government, if we can't trust pharmaceutical companies or the healthcare system, it makes us feel very vulnerable. It makes us feel like we can't trust. And it makes us feel helpless and even hopeless, because it's hard to see a better future when we see what's going on and it keeps hitting us and hitting us and hitting us in wave after wave. All right, so where does that leave us? That leaves you and me with the call to go within and hold the space of inner stillness and peace and envisioning a brighter future. Because that's what hope is. Hope is seeing a future that inspires us, that we can look forward to. And I know that that's probably going to be the hardest thing for me, because sometimes it looks like we've got this, David and Goliath situation, like the people who are in control and doing all the quote unquote bad are in positions of power. And yet I know that power can shift in an instant, but it's going to have to come from a pure place. So we go within, we tune into stillness. We certainly feel compassion for all the people who have lost their lives and continue to lose their lives and be oppressed. And we tune into a vision of a brighter future to give us hope. Now, we can't leave that vision alone, because hopelessness is part of it, but the other piece is helplessness. And the only way that we can feel that we have any sense of efficacy or competency to make a change in the world, it's got to start with us. And so what I'm inviting you to do, just as I'm doing here and with my daughter, is to find any little thing that you can do to make someone's life better. Not just at home, but what kindness or generosity or compassion can you extend to someone else? Because we can shift this vibration. We may not be able to shift the entire thing just by our one person alone, but when we collectively meditate, when we collectively send out good wishes to the people on the front lines, to the people who have a heart that now need to just be inspired to speak up and call for an end to this oppression. Or we can do it in our immediate surroundings. Because when we engage in compassionate acts or kindness or service to others, it's creating an internal spiral of positivity. We know that it impacts the brain, which we principally need to do right now. We need to keep our brains in the most resilient state possible without tipping over into fear and freak out, because that's only going to perpetuate the stress response and make us feel worse. And then we end up compensating. And so what can you do in your immediate surroundings? And you can do it through social media, sending a kind word, posting something positive, not feeding into the negativity. And if nothing more, then tuning in, performing the Metta, or loving kindness, compassion meditation, and sending out the heartfelt wish and desire that all beings on this planet be free from suffering. May all beings be truly happy. May all beings be free from danger. May all beings be truly well in body, mind, and heart. And may all beings live with ease. It may not seem like you're doing much, but I know for a fact, and you can look at research studies about the Maharishi effect, when we start to meditate on peace, when we send out compassionate waves of loving kindness to others, it can make a shift. And whether you see it or not, that's what we need to do so that we don't feel so helpless. We've got to take action, but it can be peaceful action that impacts us, our immediate surroundings, our family, our friends, our pets, and then ultimately people around the world. So I pray that you will join in with me. If you haven't joined already, then join the 21-day Compassion Meditation Challenge so that you're not alone. Many blessings to you, my friend.